Any word from Commissioner Everts?
He emailed me a confirmation saying that he will be here. That was on Tuesday when I emailed out the agenda.
Yeah. Well, I've got 4:30. Are we ready?
I'm good.
So it is on 4:30 on Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, and I call this virtual meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. So roll call. Brian Johnston is here. Don Kronk. Commissioner Everts. Commissioner Mary.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Fitzgerald.
Here.
Commissioner Lucy. Councilwoman Jessica Pearl. All right. Adoption of the agenda. Has everybody seen the agenda and read it?
Sorry, do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. 5 of you.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Was that Donna?
It's Jody.
Oh, hey, Jody, how are you? Motion by Commissioner Mary, second by Commissioner Walt for adoption of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any further discussion? Motion carried. Thank you. Approval of minutes from February meeting.
If there are no adjustments or corrections, I move that we approve the minutes for the February Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
I think Donna seconded that. She's muted. So motion by Commissioner Mary, seconded by Commissioner Lucian for approval of minutes for February 27. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of our monthly financial statements. So, Mary, can we just do both of them at one motion?
You can.
Okay. So we'll just approve both March and April if there's no discussion.
So moved.
This is Jody. I'll second.
So motion by Commissioner Murray, second by Commissioner Holt for approval of the March and April financial statements. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any further discussion? Motion carries. Thank you. Audrey, we get a letter from Lila for the month.
Lila said there was not a report for this month since the Historic Society Center has been closed for the majority of the time that we have not met. So she didn't have anything to report.
That's fine. That'll work. Thank you. We'll go to new business. So, National Registry bids. So I know we've talked to TAG and Audrey tried to talk to another company, but we have not reached anything yet. So Audrey, could you just give us a little update?
Yes. So I reached out to TAG for a bid on listing the Meridian Speedway on the National Registry. If you are currently looking at the agenda and the agenda item description, I attached just a summary of what it takes to list a property on the National Registry so that everyone can be familiar with what the steps are that we need to take in order to get the Meridian Speedway onto the National Registry. And out of those steps, TAG would be involved with 2 of those steps. The first is completing the National Register questionnaire, which is what we do first. And according to Barbara, that would be about 5 to 10 hours, $100 to $300. And then they submit the questionnaire to SHPO for SHPO's review. When SHPO, I believe they have to review the questionnaire and accept that the property is eligible. And then once that SHPO approves it's eligible, then TAG will go back and fill out the National Register nomination, which is much more time intensive, 100 to 150 hours, which is about $5,000 to $8,000 for them to do the legwork on that.
Okay, and we've got the grant from SHPO to cover a portion of it anyway.
Yeah, I believe it was $2,000.
Right. So, so since we don't need an RFQ or anything to proceed, can we just get a motion to have, or Mr. Neri, do we need a motion for Audrey to go ahead and get a hold of TAG to proceed with the work?
If you want, because there's a monetary involvement with it, you either can do a not to exceed, or if you want them to come back with, right now it's just an oral proposal. So if you want a written proposal, you don't really need a motion, it's just direction to have them provide that. So it's kind of your guys' call.
I guess my preference is I'd like to see a written proposal from them to do the work. So
It would be easier to have, yeah, Mr. President, members of the commission, it probably would be easier to have, because what we do is we take that and attach it to a contract with TAG to
right.
perform the work. So we written proposal and attach that as part of their scope.
Okay. So Audrey, can you go ahead and reach out to TAG, have them create a written proposal for us for next month?
Okay,
Then we can approve it in our May meeting for them to proceed.
okay. I can do that, get a written proposal. I can also get the ball rolling on the services contract so that we have all of that together. And then I believe right after we approve that, then TAG can start to work on this project.
Okay.
So next month I'll bring back a written proposal. I apologize, I didn't realize there was a more formal bid that I could have gotten this month. Otherwise, I could have done that this month. But a written proposal from TAG, and then I can work with purchasing. Well, Bill, do you have a preference if I should go to you for the contract or purchasing for the contract?
Mr. President, members of the commission, Audrey, I would reach out to Sandra first. They tend to do them most of the time for these personal services ones, but if she has a question, she'll reach out to us, but I would start with her.
Okay, so I'll get that proposal and I'll reach out to Sandra for the professional services contract.
Great.
Can you copy me on those emails?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the National Registry bids?
Mr. President.
Commissioner Listigan.
Yes, so if I understood that whole conversation, then we would have to come up with the balance of whatever SHPO hasn't granted us. Is that correct?
Correct. And that is in our budget. We have that money available for us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to Preservation Month, May 28th, 2020. I did not listen to the governor, so I don't know what his 4-step plan is to get things going again, if we are going to be able to even meet for Preservation Month. We kind of discussed a little bit, I think it was last week, wasn't Audrey, with the mayor?
Yeah.
And through a virtual Preservation Month, for lack of a better term. If we set up Lila's video, do something like that, I don't know. So any thoughts on that?
Mr. President,
Commissioner,
I pulled up, so I watched the governor's speech today, but the steps or what they're calling the stages for reopening are detailed really well on the website rebound.idaho.gov.
okay.
And just from looking at that and then reading that and then listening to the press release today, it appears that any gatherings greater than 10 people are not scheduled to take place until after May 30th, as long as there are no increases in cases or, any of the criteria are flagged. So I think anything physical is probably out. So I'm totally on board with doing something virtual, like you said, hosting Lila's video, or even creating a scavenger hunt to go with the video where somebody maybe could earn a coin. We could do the video and then maybe like a really easy Qualtrics or Google survey or something to go with it to like confirm, hey, did you find this Easter egg here or there, that type of thing. I think we could get creative with it, but I think we are definitely going to be virtual.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So what are the thoughts for, I don't know how to create a virtual scavenger hunt. So how would one go about starting that? I think the coin is a great idea, that if they do this if we push it well enough, maybe we get some interest and get some of our commemorative coins out to the public. So I guess that's my first question. How do we go about getting a virtual scavenger hunt going?
So I will know a little bit better if it works, but we're trying it at work on Saturday for our Bronco Day event. Normally it's obviously an on-campus recruitment event, but we can't do that. So we're doing virtual videos. And then at the end of the video, we've added a slide that basically says, like, here's the things that you should have learned in the video. And then there is a Google form attached to that. So I think for our department, we've got like 10 questions, and they're not super challenging. Like, it's not meant to be a difficult quiz, but more just to gauge whether or not they actually watched the video first, right?
Okay.
And then if they submit the answers and they're, mostly correct, we're doing some giveaways associated with that. So I think the presentation that Lila has, the settlers give the, what is it? My brain just died. I made that to begin with. So I think I have the original video on my phone. So we could add slides at the end. Do you know what I mean? Like, create the questions, or
Right.
go find us here. Or even just do it totally through social media throughout the month. Maybe we post different photos. And if people comment or like, we can do giveaways of coins based on that too.
I guess that's my thought is if we could do something, 2 posts a week, starting the 1st of May, with something and a question, and depending upon the response, and then say, if you answer all these and if you follow all, let's say we're going to do 8 posts. If you answer all 8 questions, then you'll get one of the commemorative coins.
I think that's completely doable. We could use like Hootsuite and schedule the posts out in advance so that it's not cumbersome, mid-month. We could host a Facebook Live event too, like towards the end of the month, maybe right after. I know that we blocked time on our calendar after our regular May meeting, so we could still maybe do that and host like a 30-minute Facebook Live where maybe we show Lila's video, and then all of those of us that are still available can hang out to answer questions or kind of gauge interest based on that. It would be really helpful if we could get the city to share and like any posts that we put out on our page too, just because I think readership is better that way.
Right. That does bring up a question for me, Mr. Neri. If we do a Facebook Live on the 28th, can the commission meet at City Hall, since it's just the commission, we're not exceeding the 10 people?
Yeah, so City Hall is intended to be open as of May 4th.
Okay.
We haven't had a conversation yet about meetings of folks there. The governor hasn't lifted the order in regards to public meetings yet, so that may or may not happen before May 10th. We'd have to talk with the mayor about doing that there. I mean, I don't have a concern about it, but I get the concern. It's whether or not the public can participate or not.
Right.
But if having all of you there, you're right, it's less than 10.
But I'm thinking,
I'll have to look into it.
Okay, well, even if we can just do it out front of City Hall by the main doors, or the water fountain or the water feature, something like that, might be an idea.
Is it, what date is it again? Is it
It's
May 10th?
Now, I think the 28th, do a Facebook Live the very last day.
Oh, it's May 28th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there. Yeah, we could do that outside probably.
Okay.
What are the
I don't know. We had 100 protesters there Tuesday night. They didn't seem to be social distancing either. So I guess. Okay.
Mr. President, Commissioners, what are the advantages of doing a Facebook Live as opposed to like a pre-recorded video that we can post as like an IGTV on Instagram or a Facebook video on Facebook?
I think any of those options are fine. We have a video that's ready to go that I think you have a copy of it stored there. So we could just play that. I think it's 22 minutes long is the only thing. And I don't remember how long the time limit is on like the IGTV, but it's out there.
Okay.
Can we pull up the video that Josh and I did for the city when we launched the coin and push that out onto Instagram TV?
We could. I haven't seen any of these videos, so I'll have to dig through the files and see if I can find the videos would be my first challenge. But I will search them out and find them. I think it's a great idea to post videos. I kind of prefer pre-recorded videos. That would avoid having us all get together again for a Facebook Live, but it also relieves some of the pressure of having people tune in right that moment. Having pre-recorded videos that are posted, then people can watch them just as they are on social media instead of having them tune in at such and such time.
Let me know what you need, Audrey. I'm happy to help in it, like with either option.
Okay. I think that social media is an awesome, like a month-long social media scavenger hunt or exploratory journey, I guess, through old photos or videos, presentations is a great idea. And then having like a survey at the end. One of the agenda items coming up is how we're going to manage our social media. I've had conversations with Shandy, who's our communications manager for the city, and she has some guidance and direction for our social media. And I think this is a great way to kind of kickstart our social media. And I can discuss with Shandy if she will push our new social media out on the city outlets. Shandy supports our social media, but she also has hesitations. One of the main hesitations is that any social media that's not the main city social media kind of takes away from the main social media of the city. And so I'll ask her how she feels about basically putting the word out about another city social media, or if we'll do our own advertising, I guess.
I think
guess I can understand what the city's point, but with all the committees and commissions, we all have, I guess, different agendas that we're trying to push, and things that we'd like to see out there. So yeah, it's a discussion we need to have, but I think it's important for us to be able to get the information out there that we would like to see and not necessarily rely on the city's sites to do so.
Right. I think it's a great opportunity for the city to say, hey, follow the Historic Preservation Commission social media to go on a fun scavenger hunt this month for Preservation Month. I think
Right.
that's a great reaching point for a lot of audiences. We just have to formulate what that scavenger hunt or presentation would look like for the viewers. If it would be helpful to do a lot of this brainstorming of what our scavenger hunt could look like, whether it's going to be month long, a week long, 2 weeks long. Maybe a lot of that brainstorming could be done in the subcommittees or the subcommittee, whether we want to do that events and outreach or education subcommittee, is either would work fine, but I do think that a lot of that formulation could work well in one of our subcommittees when we can get, 3 to 4 people in the same room, and we can just really lay out a good format for what it would look like.
I'm just kind of brainstorming right now, and between, like I said, the video that Commissioner Everts and I did for their coin, take a walking tour and just a brochure, and maybe go through, say, 10 points on that, walk past it, even just with our phones, and take some quick video clips, and say, where am I? And I know Preservation Idaho does one once a week on Instagram that says, what building am I? And we could probably copy and do something similar to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So do we want to meet as a subcommittee possibly next week? And just kind of do a quick brainstorm and see if we just want to do some quick videos like that. How long in advance do you need to notice a subcommittee meeting, Audrey?
24 hours.
Okay. And maybe it's just a special Preservation Month subcommittee. It's going to last for the month. But if we could meet, maybe I have to look at my calendar, Wednesday of next week or something, and just kind of go through it real quick. Would that work for people? And we can discuss, okay, let's hit Zamzels, let's hit the nurse house, let's hit the Neil house, and just grab some quick videos that way. Does that sound good?
It's good on my end. I can help.
Good
Okay.
on my end too.
Okay. Let's look at maybe Wednesday afternoon, Audrey. Let's just call it Preservation Month Subcommittee.
Sorry. Mr. President, I can set that up. Would this be like a special meeting for like open for all commissioners, or is it going to be like a subcommittee that we've already established, or a new subcommittee that would be a one-time?
My thought is just a new subcommittee just for Preservation Month, only because we're just trying to brainstorm and get ideas of what to do.
Okay.
And we'll probably have a quorum of commissions anyway. And if we're supposed to notice that these little subcommittees, then whether we meet just outside City Hall to discuss it, and then from there we can just split off and say, okay, we're going to walk past these places, and we can all do it separately, so we're not all together. Get a quick video, say something, and then we can email those video clips to you, Audrey.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. A great start for if we are going to, we can basically do a virtual tour just through different clips posted on different days. And so at our subcommittee meeting, we can perhaps organize who's going to go where and what they're going to say in the video, perhaps.
Okay.
Yes.
Who are, Mr. President, who, which of the commissioners would like to be a part of this Preservation Month subcommittee?
I will be there.
I will be there.
Mr. President,
Is that Jody?
this is Jody, and I would love to be there.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'll be there. This is Donna. What time? What day?
I'm thinking, let's go, I'm thinking the 29th. I don't see anything on my calendar if that fits for you guys. We could play, and if we want to do it in the afternoon, that works for me. I don't, whatever schedule works for you guys.
Mr. President, this is Donna Lusigan, and I am available on the 29th until about 5:30. So afternoon works.
Okay. I don't think it's going to take very long. We meet real quick and then walk and do our things. And then once we get home, take the clips and then email them to Audrey. So maybe a couple hours.
Does 3 o'clock work?
I have nothing scheduled then.
That's good on my end.
Yeah, we do 3.
Mr. President, are you planning, so this subcommittee is going to meet in person at City Hall in order to make those video recordings?
Yeah, we'll just meet. My thought is we'll just meet right in front of City Hall. And we can grab one of the walking tour pamphlets. I've got one already I carry with me, and we'll say, okay, Donna, you go here, take a quick clip. Jody, you go here, I'll go here, and we'll just do some quick video clips, walk around a building. I'm going to say, okay, well, let's just to pick on Josh, I'm going to say, let's do the vault. And I'm going to say, designed by Turlet and Hummel with these Palladian windows. It kind of just takes stuff that's from the walking tour stuff. And then that may be one of the questions we ask people is what kind of windows are on the vault?
Okay.
Or when was a building built?
So, Mr. President,
Mr. Neri.
Mr. President, members of the commission. So that sounds perfectly fine. Audrey and I can get a notice published and an agenda published. Would
Okay.
one of the commissioners, because I don't think it is real logical for Audrey to go down there for 5 minutes to make sure there's a role and what the direction is. Would one of the commissioners be willing to do that? And just check who's there.
Yeah, we
and
will.
what the direction is. Just make notes of that, and then we can provide that to Audrey, and that way we have that for the record.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Mr. President, I can plan on doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you still know how to do that, Commissioner Neri?
I bet she
I'll
does.
double check, but I think I'm okay. Thank you.
Need a refresher, let me know.
Isn't it nice to have a nice peanut gallery?
It's awesome.
Mr. President, you said you have a brochure. I haven't
Yes.
actually looked very thoroughly at the brochures. Do the brochures outline information and details about each walking tour site that's going to be the information that will be recorded in these video clips?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever we record will be off of that walking tour brochure.
Do I can get into the office and get some brochures if we need extra brochures for recording those video clips?
Yeah,
that-
I don't even know how many are out front of City Hall. I'd have to drive past there to see if there's any still in the folder out front of City Hall.
Okay. Okay,
I will definitely need one.
Okay,
okay. We'll see if we can track some down and have some ready for that.
okay, sounds good. So any further discussions on that? So Audrey, would you send out a calendar invite for us for the 29th at 3 o'clock.
Yes, I can get that
Okay,
noted as well. Mr. President, last question. Are we planning on just using our smartphones and things like that for the recordings?
I think that's gonna be plenty. We're trying to do this virtually and on the fly like we're doing. I think it's gonna be, that's as good a camera as anything to use right now to
Okay,
try to do a little video clip and a tour, so.
great. I will, in that invitation, I will also include the commission's Gmail account.
Okay,
And you can email those video clips to the Gmail account so that I can store it on, I think it's easier to download on the Gmail account, larger videos through the drive,
okay,
or you can share those videos to the commission's drive, so that I can have access and download it into a file format.
okay.
I'll email instructions about that as well to make it easier for everyone.
Perfect. That'll work. So any further discussion on pressure action month? Okay, let's go on to 6C, whole photography.
Mr. President, I believe Brandon is here and he will outline the proposal that he emailed, and I believe that can be shared to our screens.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. Crazy times.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, so I went through, and I know there's a couple of other locations on there that I just thought I'd throw in to see what you guys think about them. Ultimately, everything kind of comes down to a la carte price. So there may be other locations you have in mind. But for this one, it focused primarily on two main things: the City Hall / Creamery area, with using photographs and different things, and then also the Speedway, which kind of one spot I've always thought about was the initial point right there, being at a major intersection like it is and whatnot. It might be an interesting thing. I don't know. And then also that area up on Amity and Meridian where the turkey coops are, that's now being used as it's just a big open space. And
Right.
I don't know. I thought it'd be worth putting a couple of my 2 cents. Those are my 2 cents that I put in, if you will, just as some ideas.
Mr. President.
Missionary.
Brandon, you mentioned the initial point. Initial point isn't right there. There's a sign there, but initial point's actually towards CUNA.
It's out towards CUNA, right? Yeah.
Yeah, south of CUNA.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
south
say
of
there's a
CUNA?
sign
Oh, well,
there
never
telling
mind.
you where it's marked, but it's there.
Okay, well that's
And
I don't know. I thought it was somewhere in Meridian there, but okay.
And then the Valley Storage, are you talking about the chicken coop storage place up there at the corner? Is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to? Okay.
And again, I don't know of what historical interest that is. There may be another farm or another open space, or if it's the history of the canals, or I mean, there's just I'm just trying to kind of keep open-minded of at least making suggestions of other things that I think might be a good to accompany this project.
Yeah. Did we do the Black Cat Farm already? Am I
We did.
remembering? Did we already do that?
We've done that.
Yep, that's what I thought.
So yeah, basically based on the same scope of what we've done before, I had done that. So I'll take initial point off it, obviously. And then I know there's a lot of development coming up in the City Hall area and downtown Meridian and whatnot. Perhaps the railway tracks area, different things like that. So, I mean, we'll always be in favor of, the anything that's going to change imminently, or even in the medium term. I mean, is worth consideration, especially if there's something really major going on.
Well, I think we need to probably concentrate right now on the City Hall and Creamery, but also the Speedway.
Okay.
Especially if we're going to try and get it listed. I don't know. And that may be, the Speedway may be something you want to talk to our other consultants with. I don't know if that's possible, Mr. Neri. If they need photographs, if Brandon can do the photographs for them, we're kind of killing two birds with one stone.
True. The other thing I was going to suggest, Mr. President, is Brandon, in our planning department, one of our planners, his name is Brian McClure, and he does a lot of our comprehensive plans, sort of long-range planning. But he also has a very strong interest in some of the historical things. He may have some helpful information on areas that are close to being redeveloped, but not yet, that might be of some value, like farms you were talking about, something like that. So he might be a good person to reach out to. We
Well,
can get
out
you his
along where
contact
they're going to
info.
be, on the Meridian side of where 16 is going.
Right.
I mean, it'll be amazing to look out there and with a hot air balloon in about 10 years and see a freeway going through the middle of it with development on both sides.
Right.
So
No,
to me, it's just all perishable. And I'm, what's that?
Out there where Owyhee High School is, and that area is changing pretty rapidly.
Yes.
And there are a lot of farms out in that direction.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Well, Mr. President and Commissioners, Brandon has laid out what the imagery format would be for City Hall. Right in front of us on a screen, you can see the plan for City Hall Creamery, the 360 images, and then the still images that would kind of make up the tour for City Hall. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the number of 360s, where those 360s would be, and the stills would be for the Speedway. So if we're mainly interested in these two at this point, we can kind of review the location of the 360s and the stills and see if we want to adjust anything or move forward with the plan that Brandon has outlined for us.
Yeah, let's take a look at. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to say, if I could add, the other thing in addition to that might be looking at, I was thinking for some of those stills and perhaps even the 360, there used to be a great view of the creamery stacks right from Meridian Road at one time. And so now seeing what it looks like with those gone and the City Hall there, there may be ways to even take some of the, even if it's just the stills, not the 360 as much. But, and there's certainly, I'm sure, shots of the creamery from Main Street as well. And so I just thought somehow having like a then and now might be a kind of cool effect within the POIs in the tour. So if we have a 360 and you click on a POI, you could then see a still photo of it in 1940, let's say, and then you could go to the next slide in the POI series and you'd see a photo of it today from the same angle roughly, so that it would show you how it's changed. I don't know.
Jody, are you still with us?
Yes,
In doing all the inventory for the History Center, aren't there pictures of the Speedway from the 60s, 50s down there? Or did you run across any?
yes, I did. There are some.
So that's another
The
resource
amount-
for us, Brandon, is once we get everything open back up, is to get those pictures so you can at least get a picture of a picture. We don't know if we can scan them because there's some of them are fairly large, but at least get a picture of that picture.
Yeah, just the best, you can get me, I'll resize everything and adjust all the aspect ratios to work within the tour.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm starving for great subjects with great historical collateral like that. And that's why I thought Meridian Speedway would kind of show a lot. There might be from the time it opened, all, you know, the Dairy Days, maybe, I don't know, there could be quite a few different things that would, you know, really kind of be a chance, like a stage to show Meridian's history on.
Right. Well, I know there's probably some photographs of inside the Speedway, because that's where all the floats and everything starts for the Dairy Days parade. So there's probably some pictures from inside of the Dairy Days parade itself going on somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I know in the past there was a carnival set up there and different things. I mean, I don't know. But I thought it would be cool to see the Speedway as well during a race.
Okay.
You know, that I could do the 360s, you know, go on the night of a shoot or of a race. And so there'd be crowds, but they wouldn't, you know, just show it like it is kind of. And, but I could also do stills for POIs of, you know, the pit and just things to, you know, if we're going to create them and I'm going to go there and do it all, it'd be great to have some stills that you can use outside the tour as well, you know, that come out of it.
That brings up an interesting question for me, Brandon. Can you do like a video clip of a race and have them do 2 or 3 laps? Is that possible?
Not as a 360.
Okay.
There are some theories about that, you know, but it's really not possible. The best thing you could probably do would be to film the race,
Right.
and then have a clickable point that you could click, and then a video web box, or a video like, yeah, a light box would come up,
Right.
and then you could watch it inside of that. Yeah. And there may be some great ones, you know, there might be some old footage, who knows, of like a crash up, you know, derby or something from, I know they used to have those a lot, and I don't know. It just, I know some people over there too. And, you know, so there would be a great kind of a community place to see different, you know, as times have changed and styles and in the photos, and some are black and white, and the Meridian Tower that used to be out there in the middle of nowhere.
Mr. President, I think all that sounds great. And right on the screen is the locations of where the 360s would be, and the suggestions of where the photos are. Do we want to make any adjustments to this plan? Or it sounds like we have great resources for POIs with historical photographs and maybe some videos of the Speedway. Do we want to adjust anything in this plan, or?
I would, personally for me, I would like to just take the list and then go past both City Hall, at least exterior of City Hall, and then just walk past the Speedway, see if there's something else. There may not be anything else.
Yeah.
But just get another.
That's a great, yeah, these are in theory kind of too, you know,
Right.
When I say like North Grandstand, that doesn't mean I've got a spot exactly. It would depend a lot on, you know, the lighting or the angle at the time, and you know, but yeah, I would highly encourage that. And with the stills, you know, even though it says like 5 or 6 or whatever, in all honesty and likelihood, there'll probably be a dozen from each at the end of the day. Because, you know, I would like to, if I was going to have a chance to do Meridian Speedway on a beautiful afternoon into the evening, I would like to get it well, you know.
Right. Well, and to be honest, to try and get something inside with the races going on, I don't know, that's going to be probably July before it opens up anyway. Released in
June. Yeah, before there's crowds again. That's definitely one thing about it now with everything going on. But yeah. I haven't seen any of the schedules or anything, but I'm sure it's, you know, maybe delayed. I don't know if it starts Memorial Day or what, but
okay.
To get a good event.
We'll take this information, Brandon, look at it, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay. You know, and depending on what you want to do, I mean, there's, like I said, a lot of development going on downtown.
Right.
If there are other locations you want to consider, or you want a still, or you want a 360, or you want whatever, you know, they can just be added, and it's really kind of just an a la carte. At the end, you add up how many 360s and how many stills, and You know, you can work backwards from a budget or forwards with what you want.
And we have all your pricing information, correct?
Yeah, the way I've been doing it, it's different than I do on most of my other projects, you know, but it's, right now it's been 500 at 360 and 100 a still for the large format stills. And so, I've been putting in an allowance of stills, like in this case, 5 or 6, but Black Cat, I shot probably about 30, 20 or something like that.
Okay.
Which was a similar thing. So it's kind of just mainly enough to make it, you know, go, but definitely picking some locations and things like that. Sometimes the same shot at different times of day is great, you know,
Right.
so you end up with the same shot of the water tower, but when it's sunset, it's like a whole different shot just because
Right.
it's sunset.
Yeah, different
it's the
color
same.
on that water tower.
But the same subject and same spot, maybe even. But yeah, and for you guys, you know, if you want, you know, when you're later, if you look at that portfolio that she sent out, there's a lot of new updated tours on there and stuff. So there's a lot of techniques and just ways things are done. And so our tour can do all those things if we want it to. Sorry, you were about to speak. Was that Jason?
It was me. Mr. President, are you imagining or in the plan, would you like to take this month to walk around each of the locations, and then next month ask Brandon to come back, and then we decide on specific locations, or
That's what I would like to do, yes.
okay. So then next month we'll have, I guess, more specific feedback on the specific locations. And
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so then in our May meeting, I'll see if I can draft, I'll reach out to purchasing. I think the contact would be Sandra again to draw up a professional services contract, so that we can get that taken care of, and start the production of this project perhaps in June.
Yeah, probably in June.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I see historical perishable things everywhere I look. You know, even something like the Hungry Onion, I think would be a great still photo at least.
I
You know,
agree.
if it's gonna, you know, things like that that might go away that have been such a staple to the community in its time. But anyway, I won't keep you, everyone. If there's any questions for me, let me know here, and
We
we
will
have a
do
pretty
that.
good plan.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hey, thank you all. I really enjoy working with you. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
So we'll go on to old business of our walking tour post replacement. Audrey, can you give us an update?
Mr. President, one thing I think we might have passed by, item 5D, the social media under new business.
I don't have my schedule to print it off. I printed an old one off, so
Oh,
yeah, let's do that.
okay.
So we'll do 5D, anyway, social media.
So, Mr. President, like I mentioned before, I discussed with Shandy Lamb, who is the city communications manager, about the Historic Preservation Commission's social media, which we set up last month. And at first she was more hesitant, but as we talked more, she became more and more supportive of the idea. She says, as we get started on this, one of the things that she wants to ensure is that our social media has an audience. And in order to and we have to build that audience from the ground up since we are just starting this. She says the key for the success of our social media would be to find a manager for our social media, which would be one of the commissioners, to manage our social media accounts and to start to kind of get this moving. The social media manager would create a content calendar, probably just for month 1, with the date, caption, and picture that they would post. And that content calendar would be for 1 month, and the posts would be as regular as 3 times a week on the same days, typically, whether that would be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. To the content calendar would first show that we have enough content to keep up regular posting, and as well as the content calendar would be, the social media manager would send the calendar to myself as well as Shandy, so that Shandy could review the language and voice that we are using on our social media. And just as the social media manager learns the ropes, then this is how we can kind of monitor that for the next couple of months until we get into a groove, I guess, what you could say. But those were the recommendations of Shandy so that we can have a successful social media.
Mr.
Okay,
President. Audrey, I think that is a very doable thing. I think it's strange though that as much as we're not supposed to have our own social media without the city, there seems to be a lot of oversight of it. To be 100% honest with you, are we getting approval on these, or is it, hey, FYI, this is what we're doing? It seems like the Meridian history page, the social media page, which we rebranded to be the historic preservation page about 2 years ago, has, I mean, decades worth of postings, right? Because we're talking history here. And they were posting regularly. So is the goal to I review content? Is the goal to confirm that we have an audience? I think without a partnership, if the city's not going to like and share, I don't know how we grow that audience.
I agree. And Shandy also mentioned that that historically Shandy hasn't paid as much of attention to the Facebook page and things, but as I approached her, it came more to the forefront, and she'd like to be involved in just making sure that our posting and our language aligns with the city's social media. And so she said that at first she'll be more involved and then probably peter out. As far as the city liking and sharing our posts, I didn't discuss that with her. So it's possible, I perhaps the city will be able to like and share our posts so that we can gain more traction, but I haven't asked her about that.
Okay, thank you. Is that something that as a commissioner I could have a conversation with her about to try to understand what it is she's looking for? That way whoever it is that we decide should manage our social media might need a better understanding of what Shandy's goals are, so that we create content accordingly.
Right. So she mentioned that when we choose a social media manager, when a social media manager volunteers, that we would do a training for that social media manager on verbiage, on posting, on kind of the do's and don'ts of city media. The example she used with me was that as a government agency, we're not allowed to delete any comments. And so it's administrative things like that, things that we can and cannot do, things we can and cannot post. So she mentioned that we would have a little training for that social media manager.
Got it. Thank you.
So does
One
that,
additional comment, Mr. President, on what Audrey was saying is, I don't believe any of our other commissions have social media pages that aren't operated by the city. So, I mean, for example, SWAC has a social media page, but it's run by a city employee. Parks are run by city employees. So this is not the norm for the city to have social media not run by the city. I think the historic page that we've had in the past, again, a majority of the postings on it were done by Hillary. So that's where I think. So I don't think this is inconsistent, but I think JC's right that whoever's going to manage it, and if JC wants to at least be the starter of the conversation with Shandy, I think that's great. Just to understand that, because I think what she's concerned with is that when we have non-employees managing it and they're not aware of any protocols or requirements, it can get really out of hand pretty quickly. And so we just want to avoid that kind of stuff. And so, and again, the level of expertise is varied among commissions. So if other commissions start doing this without it being city personnel, I think she just wants to have a consistent message across the board.
so Commissioner Neri, can you talk with Shandy? My concern is timing between this and then trying to get our little video clips out for Preservation Month and get city approval so we can get the response, so we can get people to like what we're trying to do to meet the city requirements. So it's kind of a big circle for us to get through.
Right, Mr. President, I agree. I think it's one of those things that either, and I mean this like in a kind, respectful way, but either the city supports and shares us and helps with that, or they shouldn't get to mandate the content, because I feel like you shouldn't. I mean, and again, we're talking about like a First Amendment free speech thing. Like, I mean, I feel like we're not going to post anything inappropriate, but if there's a lot of oversight and it takes time to make posts and then they're no longer relevant, but the city's not going to like or share them anyways, then it seems to me like we should create a page through the Historical Society and try to beef up that brand. I don't know. I want to reach out and talk to her and kind of find out what the goal is, because I feel like with social media, if you aren't getting likes and shares from people in your existing audience, then you don't reach new people. So we really, in the past, have only been successful with social because the city has partnered with us. And I don't want to throw one more thing on Audrey's plate that she has to manage, because we're not the only group that she's managing. So, I mean, that's kind of my honest thought on that. I definitely can reach out to Shandy and see what it is that she would like to see. But that might need to be a conversation of, does HPC just not have an account and the Historical Society has an account, and then we as commissioners post things independently? Like I could have JC Neri, Historic Preservation Commissioner, and post things that then get shared. Does that make sense?
Right.
Mr. President, I totally understand what you're saying, and I don't think you and having that conversation with Shandy are going to be far off of anything. Historical Society is not going to exist in a year, so I don't think that's probably the best avenue to go. And anything that has the city's brand attached to it, the city's going to have some level of a role in it. Otherwise, it can't be part of the city's commission or the city's brand. So I don't think you're adverse. I think what all Shandy's wanting to do is make sure whoever's running social media content understand what rules are in relation to government that are different than your personal page. And that's what she doesn't know anybody on any of the commissions at all of who would be doing stuff. Right now, it's easy. The people that run social media all work for the city. So there's one voice, one direction, all of it's pretty clear. this is a very much a different animal than what we have. And so I think she just wants some consistency. She, for example, with you, JC, she doesn't know that you're on the commission and that you could be the person to have the contact with. She may be absolutely comfortable with you doing it, but she just wants to be comfortable with who's ever doing it. It's just using the same protocol, standards, understanding what rules apply to us that don't apply to your personal account.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I mean, I know from, like, if I put my city employee hat on, I know, and then I know public record requests and all that good stuff. So, but I do think that I'll probably just shoot her an email this week, only because of the timeline between now and the May event. Like, if it was February, I would have a totally different feeling about that because we'd have lots of time. So I'll just get on her calendar sooner rather than later, and we can figure that one out.
I also, as far as the city liking and sharing our social media as well, I worked with Shandy for the Arts Commission, is doing a questionnaire right now to help us plan a public art survey, a public art plan is what I mean. And I emailed Shandy a couple weeks ago to see if she could post some of our information to the city's page. And so she did, she made a special post about the public art questionnaire, and we could probably ask her to do the same thing for our preservation month videos. I don't know if she will like share our exact post is kind of what I was implying. When we post, I don't think that the city will share that to the main social media page every time.
Makes sense. Thanks, Audrey.
Mhm.
So, Mr. President, then with your okay, I'll reach out to Shandy this week and find out how best to work with her on that and let her know about kind of our timeline coming up. And I'm sure we can find a solution together.
That'll work for me.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. So any further discussion on our social media? Hey, business for a walking tour post replacement.
Mr. President, I this month was able to email, well, I just followed a trail trying to find the right person to talk to. I finally got to the right person. The information that I talked to Ashley Squires. She informed me that MDC owns the walking tour panel or posts, and that as a commission we can replace the walking tour panels itself. They're removable panels that can be replaced. So that's was good information for me to know how to move forward. Ashley is going to, I talked with her last week and she said that she would send me the information for the Trademark Signs who did our panels before. I will get their information and see if they still have the proof for the panels that were put on the walking tour post so that we can approve that, get that printed again, and get those replaced.
Okay.
With the new development downtown, is there anything that needs to be updated on those panels before we replace them?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well. When Audrey, when you get those proofs, would you mind sharing them with me and Blaine and maybe JC, because I think JC was involved with them before, and we can help look at them to see if there's some changes we would suggest.
Okay. Do I need to, can I, as soon as I get them in the next probably week or two, can I email those for your feedback, or do I need to wait until the next commission meeting?
I think you can email them as long as Mr. President's okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, great. I'll do that then.
Okay, we'll go on to third grade field trips, which there are none. So, Commissioner, do you know if any of those third grade field trips have ever been recorded? Video?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'm not aware of it.
Mr. President. So I reached out to Lori Nash this week, and I had just talked to her this afternoon, which is why I didn't include these details in the agenda. But I talked to her. She's the one who organizes the third grade tours on West Ada School District's end. And I asked her about the possibility of sending third grade teachers videos so that they could kind of get an alternative to these tours. And she said that they are not using digital formats for their elementary school classes, that they found, or they distributed their digital gadgets to the middle and high schoolers, and that they are distributing information to the elementary schoolers only through paper packets, because
Okay.
they discovered that the families don't. Anyways, there's not enough gadgets for everyone to share, and that they cannot distribute any materials that are not equal to everyone, meaning that not everyone will have access to the videos because not everyone has gadgets. And so they're not able to distribute any videos at this time.
Okay.
Anyway, that was a long explanation for her saying that the element they're not allowed, or they're not able to distribute any videos that we make, unfortunately.
Okay. And then I guess it's just going to be up to West Ada if they're going to try and make up the field trips next year with those kids that didn't.
I also, Mr. President, I also asked her about that, and she says that's also impossible because of how many third grade classes there are, that they're adding a new elementary school this year, and that there are, in the time frame that they're able to come on field trips, that the time frame will be filled with all third grade classes, and that there's not enough time for the fourth grade classes to come,
Okay.
unfortunately. So that was bad news on both counts for the two questions that I asked her.
All right. Well, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
Mr. President,
Missionary.
do we have any, before we made the new brochure that has both tours together, we had the separate tours, like we had the two smaller brochures.
Yep.
If we have any of those left, is that something that we could provide to the schools? Or like, I'm trying to think of a way to get these third graders that are missing the content looped back in. I know that third graders are picking up packets, or packets are being put online, like through Microsoft Teams right now. Perhaps we could put, with partnership with Mrs. Nash, we could put some information either on the Microsoft Teams so parents could download that themselves, or make the brochures available like to the fourth graders next year. Because if we have the old ones and they're just still sitting in the basement, maybe we could distribute those.
I thought there were still some left. The exact count, I don't know. But that's a good idea that we could take those. They're not gonna do us any good just sitting in the basement. But if we can find them, yeah, then let's get them to the little kiddos and give to them for their use.
That's awesome. Audrey, do you think that you could, you're not in City Hall till the 4th. Could we loop around, like maybe put this on the May agenda, and then when everybody's back in City Hall, perhaps I could make an appointment to come in and see if those boxes are still there, or you could check, and maybe that's just an easy drop off at the school. When we first started doing tours, I drove brochures around all the elementary schools, and maybe it's just time for another drive so that those fourth graders get them.
Mr. President, Commissioner, Hillary left behind some boxes that I moved into Parks and Rec storage, since I have more easy access to Parks and Rec storage. So I know exactly where the boxes are. I don't I can't remember if I saw any brochures. I might have, but I don't remember. So I can, when I'm in City Hall next, which could be on the 4th, or I can make if it gets cleared, I can make a special trip in there and get into our storage to see if we have any leftover brochures. Would we, since we are ordering new brochures, would we want to make sure that we order enough so that we could distribute them even if we don't have leftover brochures?
Depending on what the budget is, I'd be open-minded to that.
Yeah, let's, have we ordered the new brochures yet?
No.
Let's get a count or try and get a count to see how many we have.
Okay.
And then depending upon that, we may want to order a few more. But let's get a count of what we have old for the north-south tours and see what we have.
And Mr. President,
Mr. Neri.
I will be in City Hall starting next week on Monday, all
Okay.
day. So if Audrey can tell me where to go, I can go look for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, just shoot me,
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
So whether whoever's there first, Mr. Neri or I, can check in storage. I'll also reach out to Lori again, Miss Nash, to see if that's something that we can do, is include these brochures in the packets that go out to the families.
Okay.
I think the city clerk will be in on Tuesday, so I can at least touch base with him as well if there's any there. In fact, he's probably still on the call too, but to see if there's anything remaining in the city clerk area.
That sounds great.
Mr. President, Audrey, I either need to move you to another format or wrap this up in the next 3 to 4 minutes. We have to start another meeting using the same account. So I'll have to get you in another format if you need longer.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got time to wrap up, and I'll check to see if there are brochures here while you're wrapping up.
Yeah. So
Mr.
next meeting
President,
will be,
Mr. President, this is Commissioner Luce again.
yes.
And did we decide whether or not we are going to meet as subcommittees in either April or before the next meeting?
I think right now our only subcommittee is going to be our Preservation Month
Okay,
subcommittee. I think that's priority right now. We'll work on
Okay.
the other ones afterwards.
okay, sounds good.
So with that being said, I still don't, we'll just plan a virtual meeting unless something changes on May 28th. We'll see what happens with how everything goes, and if we can meet it in council, we can. If not, we'll just do another virtual meeting on the 28th. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting. This is Commissioner Luce again.
I'll second.
Commissioner Lucian, seconded by, I think, Commissioners Neri and Alt for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we are done. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep, we'll
everyone.
see ya.